Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and all of my subscribers. Welcome back to another exciting, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. I am joining you today, the day before Thanksgiving. So, first and foremost, I want to wish all of my subscribers, all of my viewers, a very, very, very tasteful and stomach full, packed Thanksgiving. I know that sounds a little, but that's what happens. You go to Thanksgiving, you eat a bunch of food, you talk, you have fun, you play, you spend time with your family, and you go home and go to sleep from all that. You're tired from all that food. So I want to wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving, especially my number one fan, Kimstar66. Same goes to you too, my friend, and Nick, all of my my cohorts. So yeah, I hope everybody has a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving. But now to get down to the serious stuff, what do I have for you today, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. I got another story for you. This is the story that I found out about on a Facebook forum about a young man named Alex Stevens. I read about him a couple of months ago, but with my time and everything and all the other stories I had already lined up to talk about on my channel. Cases, that is. Didn't really get a chance to get around to that particular story, but it popped up again with some new evidence. Now, I've been finding out about a lot of cases with people who disappear recently, and then later on their bodies are found, in the same position as all the other people. They're either found in water, in a wet area. The only thing that you never hear about or read about is the condition of their body and if they were partially clothed. The weird stuff that don't make any sense to the coroners or even the searchers, that's the information that never gets put out there. And you have to dig and 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 dig until you can get it. Like, getting the, going to, what do you call that darn thing? I know that darn term so well. Freedom of Information Act. There you go. Yeah, Freedom of Information Act. You have to fill out one of those forms and request the autopsy report, just as long as it's not interfering with the case. Okay. But in that manner, you really still don't get it, depending on what kind of case it is. I mean, look at the Stacey Ann Harris case. David Paulides has never, since day one, been able to actually get that file. So there's got to be something weird about that. And I've been thinking, the girl had a camera with her. Okay, she's in the woods where she disappeared. Obviously, there was something out there to make her disappear. And just maybe, she actually took a picture of it. Just think about it. The only thing they found after she disappeared was her lens cap. Why is that? Don't you think that if she saw something scary or creepy, she would have dropped the camera out of fright and tried to run? I would imagine that's a typical thing to do for any person, especially if they're young and they're 15 years old. They would run for their lives, run back to their parents, right? But that didn't happen. She vanished without a trace. She was never found. Why is that? What could it be? That is the main question of all when it comes to any one of these cases. No matter how old and no matter how new. If the person disappears in a mysterious way, then yeah, there's going to be a mysterious answer to back up that mysterious question. But like I said before, you cannot answer a question like that with a logical answer. It is impossible. You can't do it. That's like telling me that the only way I can drink water is... Well, anyway, that's a very bad representation. But anyway. But what I'm thinking is, and I had to write this down so I wouldn't forget, because it's something that came to me one day. And I was really thinking about this. Okay? And I come to the conclusion that there are beings out there, dimensional beings, that have an ability to suppress people to the point where they become incapacitated. Now, they can also bring people down to their level, or bring them to their level, meaning the dimension that they come from, and they can pretty much do anything they want to them. Okay. Now, also, I haven't really talked about this much, but since this is my channel and I talk about all this stuff all the time, I did have a moment of missing time. I think it was maybe last year or 2 years ago at work. Okay. I was supposed to be going up front to the cafeteria to get something to eat. And this is like during the evening. The sun had already set. And it didn't hit me until like maybe a couple days later that I don't remember anything about going up to the front. Not one single iota. All I remember was me standing in the middle of the aisle, I think facing in the opposite direction or facing in the direction that I was going to. But that entire portion of my memory is completely wiped from my brain. And I know for a fact that I had a period of missing time because I remember everything that I was able to do from the time when I walked up front and the time when I walked back to my operation. Any other time. But that one time out of all those times, I don't remember nothing. Okay? Now, most people who feel like they have been abducted can find out by examining their body, looking for scoops or maybe some bruise marks or maybe a part of their skin that looks like a certain shape, like a triangle or an octagon. And that's where at that point, that's when you've been probed, or tagged with a tracking device so they can find you again. I don't have anything like that in my body, so whatever they did to me, I don't know. Maybe they were talking to me. Maybe I'm chosen for something that I'm not aware of. I don't know. But I do know I had missing time, and that much is relevant. Okay, most people would say you were probably just daydreaming or you just forgot. Okay, first of all, I was wide awake and I was at work. So you can't forget something like that. If you walking somewhere or you're working somewhere, you're going to remember all of that. You're going to remember walking to the bathroom. You're going to remember walking up front, especially if you're getting ready to clock out to go home. You're not going to forget that. So that one little piece of memory, inside my brain or in my mind is completely wiped out. Just blank. Okay, so... And I heard from a very reliable source that that's exactly what happened to me, even though I already knew. So, but anyway, guys, I want to get straight to the story here. I don't want to lag on what I'm talking about too long here. Now, once again, this story is about a young man at the age of 28. He went missing. He was from New Jersey, but he went missing, and authorities and the coroner say that he died from pneumonia after days stranded in the Adirondacks. Okay, now to start off with, now he's 28 years old, from New Jersey. Once again, this is a man, of course. I know you got women that's named Alex, so that's why I want to make sure that was clear. It's a 28-year-old man whose body was found in a remote area of the Adirondacks, the Adirondack Mountains, who had died from pneumonia after spending days in wet, cold conditions. And these are the words coming from the authorities. Now, the doctor who conducted the autopsy on Alex Stevens, of Hopewell, tells the Adirondack Daily Enterprise that the cause of death was bronchial pneumonia, resulting in the lack of food and exposure. Now, the search teams found his body Monday afternoon near Wallface Mountain. That place is in the High Peaks region, about 10 miles south of Lake Placid. Now, the authorities say he had set out for what was supposed to be a 3-day hike over the Labor Day weekend. Now, he was also last seen, about other hikers on September 2nd. And after that, that was the last time he was ever seen by anyone. Now, the state forest rangers say he was inadequately prepared for spending several nights, in rugged terrain during the cold, rainy conditions. And that seems to happen a lot with people who just up and just go, for a hike. You at this time of the year, especially in September in New Jersey or New York alone, you got to be bundled up. I know. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. Okay, the winters are harsh. No matter what year, it don't get warm in the middle of the week. Well, one time it actually did. It was like 70 something degrees or 80 degrees. It was like 80 or 85 degrees in the morning time. And by the time I left my school, it was cold. So you got to realize that if you're going into the mountains or any other area where you're going to be hiking, in a place like New York or even New Jersey, you got to bundle up, especially in September, because right after Labor Day, it gets cold. I'm talking it drops down to at least 30 degrees. So if you weren't prepared for that, what will make you think you can survive, especially if you live in New Jersey, so you know how the weather is, whether you're in New Jersey or New York. The weather is the same. It don't change until you get here where I am. At that time of the year, it's still like 90 degrees some days. We have warm weather all the way up to February. And then that's when, it gets crazy. We start having snowstorms. Sometimes we have ice storms. Well, not sometimes. We had ice storms for a very long time, ever since I moved down here from 2005 to like, I don't know when. But still, the whole point is, this man went into the Adirondack Mountains to hike for 3 days. During the cold, winter months. Well, I mean, it was fall of the year at that time, but still, it was cold. And you went out there inadequately prepared. You probably didn't have enough gear on. You probably didn't have enough rations. You probably didn't have enough water. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. Now, here's my thing. They say he died from bronchial pneumonia. Now, there's other parts of the case and the findings in his death that they could post, but they haven't. Like, what was the condition of his body? Was he lying face down or face up? Was he partially clothed? They obviously, announced the cause of death. But for you not to list all the other stuff, which they probably thought wasn't important, because all they want to do is find the kid. And, well, he wasn't a kid, find a young man and be done with it. That's a searcher's job. They go in, they find a person, and they go home. That's part of their job, especially even volunteers. They don't dig deep into the case like how people like me and David Politis do. Okay? Well, of course, he does more digging than I do because he's the expert. I'm just a baby in all this. But, still, I got a feeling there's a lot more to his case than they're letting on, because every single person that disappeared in a mysterious way, even if they just got lost or whatever, there's always some weird evidence surrounding their disappearance or the findings of their bodies in certain areas. How did they get there? Why were they there? It was rugged terrain. Why would you want to go to a place like that? Now, was he an avid hiker? I don't know. He obviously liked to hike because he went out there for a hike. But had he been doing it since he was a kid? The only ones that would know that were his friends and his family. But, they're not talking, and there hasn't been any information from them other than the fact that they found his body. So, hopefully some more information will come up about that. I'll have to look into it, but for right now, this is the only information they had about it, because they just wanted to make sure everybody knew that they found him. So, like I said, this was back in September when I found out about this, and they just now found the body. So, yeah, very strange one, and the fact that he went out there inadequately, I have a problem saying that word, inadequately prepared for the journey. I would think anybody that was actually avid hiker would make sure they had everything they needed: long johns, a triple fat goose coat, sweatpants, a hat, some gloves, a thermal shirt to go under your shirt, all that stuff to keep you warm at all times. I would rather sweat from being too hot in the cold than to be freezing cold, So, I know they always say that the sweat actually cools your body down even though it's cold outside. So you got cold on top of a heating system, and then you have your body, which will get cold because of the other parts of your body that's exposed to the cold air. But when you bundle yourself up, you warm your body, keeping your body cool yet warm at the same time. Therefore, you won't, like they call it, you probably, what do they call that? I can't think right now. But anyway, the whole point is, you got to be prepared for stuff like that. You don't want to just go in there all half cocked or partially prepared. You want to make sure you have all the rations you need for a 3-day hike. And I don't think that too many people know exactly how much you need to go on a 3-day hike. Because if you love to eat, then you want to make sure you bring enough, because you're going to be snacking in between the main meals. You want to have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. But most people, they be looking at stuff that they got and say, oh man, that look good. They start taking a bite. Let's just say they got a candy bar and they eat that. They try to, save it. You just take one bite, save it for the next day. But that don't happen, especially if you love chocolate. I know for a fact that would never happen with me, because I love chocolate way too much. If you got me one of those like giant size Hershey bars, it will be gone by the time I get to the house. Okay? You got them little 3 big pieces. You break them off. You eat it. And then after you're done with that, you eat another piece. And before you know it, it's empty. This is all from point A to point B. But somewhere in the middle, that sucker's already gone. Okay? So, like I said, you got to be prepared for all this stuff. I'm not a hiker. I'm not an avid hiker. I'm not a hiker any kind. But I do know, and not just from experience, but just from knowing that you have to have your gear with you. You have to be prepared at all times, no matter what. You got to make sure that you're going to stay warm. You got to have your not work boots, but you got to have hiking boots. You got to have all kinds of food. You got to have plenty of water. 3 days worth. So if you like to snack in between meals, you got to have stuff for that too. So you buy like sandwich meat, and you buy some bread, and you make sandwiches with it. And you, what I would do, I would take one slice, put the meat in between it with the cheese or whatever, like say a bologna sandwich, and I eat the sandwich like that. I fold up the bread and I eat it with just that. I'm not gonna put both slices, and one on top of the other, just to eat the sandwich. And then you cut it in half. You cut it in different sections. You can use just one piece of bread. You fold it up, you cut it in half. So you got one for now and one for later. But you gotta put it in your mind. You gotta train yourself to do stuff like that. Not everybody actually thinks to do that. So, and apparently that's what he didn't do. He didn't ration out his food at that point. And he probably still didn't have enough anyway. Of course, a lot of the information is still out there, but it hasn't been televised or anything or posted. But if there's any more information about that, I'll make sure I get it up here. But I don't know, because they only gave you the information that they felt you needed, and that's to know that he was found. So if you can't find the man alive and they found him dead, that's closure. So, but is there something weird about this case? Maybe. It sounds weird. By the way, for the fact that he was supposed to be going somewhere, he told him he was going to be gone, but he never showed up to meet their friends. Because, he said, I'm going to take a hike and I'll meet you in New York at such a place. Never happened. And for someone to actually go out there to hike, you would think he would be prepared. You would think that he knows what to do when he's out there, but something still happened. Now, if something weird happened, we need to find out, but you're never going to get it from them. If it's a weird case, they will cover it up with a logical reason why the man was found dead. Knowing good and well that you probably found him face down in a wet area, but his body was bone dry. He was partially clothed. Probably just had his underwear on. Maybe his boxers or his briefs, and had his socks on. And the socks were probably pristine. But we don't know that. We don't know nothing about his gear. They just say he was inadequately prepared, so he probably just had his clothes and a bag full of food, but the man still died. So I don't know. I really don't. But hopefully I'll get the information. And when I do, you guys will be the first ones to know. But anyway, guys, it is Thanksgiving Eve. And I don't want to be up here any longer than I have to, because I know you guys want to prepare for your family dinner tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have to work, so I can only spend but so much time with my family. My cousin is supposed to be coming through, but not until later. So my aunt told me to just don't come by tonight because it's going to be late. They're going to be tired from all that driving. So you just come by early tomorrow. You can, do your little chit for chat with them, because like I said, I got to be to work either by 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And I plan to come to work at 3 o'clock because I want to spend time with my family while they're sitting down, eating, and all that stuff, and chatting away. So come over there to eat, then to get my food, and I go. So once again, I want to wish all of my family, all of my YouTube family, and my subscribers, which is my YouTube family, of course, duh. But I want to wish all you guys a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you guys on the flip side. Bye. Aloha, mahalo, and a hui. Peace out, guys.